The general theme is how does it feel to be a hypocrite?
Right. Well, he sounds like a royal dirtbag.
I was wrong about something.
Magnificent! Magnificent! Magnificent!
If we can be with ourselves, if we can understand ourselves, we can love.
It's not my fault nobody can understand what you're saying.
Let's go while we're young.
3, 2, 1. Just introduce yourself and tell me what you ate for breakfast.
Hey, good morning. If you're new here, I don't eat breakfast this early, but I'll eat breakfast here shortly. Hey, we're going to talk about real Memorial Day, like for real, like not commercialized, not anythingized, but actual fact. I really got interested in history, not because I learned that my ancestor, the one and only John Blackjack Logan, actually founded Decoration Day, but I got interested in history when I learned how twisted people like to be with history. And what I mean by that is I got involved in basically kind of a media interview, and it went really bad, and people had said certain things and they had twisted it in a certain way, and I had actually been there. I was personally involved. My daughter died in a car crash. I was on scene, all kinds of things. And there's been several of those instances with media in my past with this, but very specifically a couple of occasions that really they twisted things around and tried to change the history of it essentially. And I really got it really concerned and involved with history. So I think it's extremely important that we don't forget and stray away from origin stories, or whatever you want to say. So we're going to run through that. And if you're new here, shinybrand.com, we make things, t-shirts, sweatshirts, tumblers and stuff like that. So make sure you check that out. But at any rate, I guess if you hashtag Shiny Brand, we're going to draw a winner today. I'm going to draw the winner a little bit early. I want to close with something very specific with this, and I see my camera isn't trying to operate properly here, so hopefully everything comes across okay. But so the first national observance of Decoration Day was put into place and proclaimed by General John, nicknamed Blackjack Logan. He was the commander of the Grand Army of the Republic, and he did this on May 5th, 1868, through what's called General Order 11, designating May 30th, 1968, May 30th, as the day to decorate graves for Civil War fallen or soldiers who have died, both Union and Confederate. That was what it was for. It was for soldiers who had died in the service of their country, whether that be Union or Confederate. And the date was chosen, and it's really interesting because this is really a crucial part of history. This date was chosen specifically to honor this because it ensured that there would be flowers available throughout the entire nation, including us Northerners here up in the northern states, that there would be flowers and that they would be in bloom at these dates late in May. And that is specifically why they chose the date late in May. The first major event, though, took place at Arlington National Cemetery. Thousands of people gathered there. They decorated graves there. They featured then Congressman James Garfield. I've been to the Arlington National Cemetery 3 times in my life, and it's quite a moving experience. And in fact, I was there on Flag Day 2 years ago, and it's just I can't even explain the experience if you really allow yourself to open up to what that is and what that represents. It's extremely moving. It's extremely powerful. So with with different prayers happening and hymns. There were children decorating graves with the flowers that were now in bloom in places like Gettysburg, in Pennsylvania, of course, the famous battle site there, Fredericksburg, Virginia. And now, of course, we know decoration as Memorial Day, and it began as a way to honor those soldiers who had died in the Civil War. I want to be really clear on that. This is not Veterans Day is for military personnel who have served, but I'm not going to digress any further than that. But so its origins, its roots were really rooted in post-Civil War era, post-Civil War soldiers who had died. That's what this was specifically for. So after the Civil War had ended in 1865, as most of us probably know, communities across the United States started holding ceremonies to decorate graves of fallen soldiers with flowers. We know the flag ceremonies and the wreath ceremonies and things today. And one of the earliest recorded events was actually in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, I'm not saying this is the first event, but this is the first real recorded event in Charleston, South Carolina on May the 1st, 1865, when and this is who did this who put this together were African Americans who were freed and Union soldiers, and they did this to honor the deceased Union prisoners, the prisoners of war taken by the Confederate Army. Wow, I cannot talk this morning. I apologize. Prisoners of war who were taken by the Confederate Army, and they would decorate their graves at the former Confederate prison site. What a powerful representation of really what this is. It is people coming together and in places of destruction and death and devastation and just very difficult things, and to honor people who had given their lives. And what I just don't even have words for things like this. And honestly, nobody should. We should all take pause and really understand the depth of what some of these things are. In this, so that place, that time, May the 1st, 1865 in Charleston, South Carolina, is cited as the key. It's the very key precursor to what became Decoration Day. And so by the 1870s, Decoration Day became widely observed across the entire U.S., of course, especially in the North. Those southern states at the time were doing separate commemorations, I suppose we could call them, honoring the Confederate soldiers. They kind of were still very separate at the time, but over time, the regions in the South, it began to merge as the single Decoration Day. And the day was marked by ceremonies and parades and speeches, honoring the dead with a focus on the specific reconciliation between the North and the South. That's what this was really made for, to decorate soldiers, both Union and Confederate, to really reconcile between the North and the South. So let's move over and let's give away a t-shirt. Now, please email me. It's really important. I don't know who you are, but congratulations. So please email me. Let's see, why did that not show here? Let's try this again. There we go. So you can see who the winner is this morning. So please email me, shinybrandgifts@gmail.com, and with your style, color, and size needs, and then I'll get that sent out to you. So shinybrandgifts@gmail.com. And so let's get back into this, and I'll wrap this up, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 6:30. But and I'm just gonna end it in just a minute. It's very powerful to understand what these things are and where they come from, because after World War I, the holiday then expanded to honor all American soldiers who died in war, in the service of their country, not just the Civil War. And then so the name Memorial Day is what started to take hold. It started gaining traction, though Decoration Day would remain in use primarily throughout most of the 19th century. And then in the mid 20th century, it actually Memorial Day became more popular and the common term that we know today. But in 1968, what's called the Uniform Monday Holiday Act moved the holiday to the last Monday of May, again, flowers in bloom throughout the entire United States, creating the long federal national weekend. And then it was officially put into law, federal law, as Memorial Day. Now, today, Memorial Day, as we said, is a federal holiday, and it's dedicated to remembering all U.S. military personnel who died in any war in the service of their country. Traditions include, still today, traditions still include decorating graves, flag ceremonies, speeches, moments of silence. Though it's often seen, as we know, as the unofficial start of summer, with barbecues and all kinds of Memorial Day sales, many critics argue that this commercialization dilutes the solemn purpose of this day. See you tomorrow morning at 6:30.
You know what I just saw?
Who is this guy?
I call myself Podcast because of my podcast.
I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear.
So it's done.
It's done.